Welcome. I got a story. Hmm. Actually, part story, more like strategy guide, you know? So, this topic, this topic today, we're going to talk about um a time where I was homeless. Damn, my voice had to crack right then. I was homeless once upon a time, and I was living in my car. Now, how I ended up homeless, a series of events, choices, people, relationships. Shit happens. Shit happens. And, you know, it could be a sensitive time for anybody to not only go through that, but try to pick up the pieces, pick up what's salvageable, and, move forward with trying to figure out how to live your life. My uncle, shout outs to him, Uncle Mike. I mention him a lot in music. Um, he was scrapping a car, a Nissan Pathfinder. It was like a 1999, and you know, I had pulled up in the city, like kind of close to my birthday. I figured to just kind of do a little reset. A lot of stuff was going on in the town, and it just felt like that's just where I had to be to kind of like charge up. And needless to say, I mean, I saw the car. Yeah, it hit me up. He was like, "Yo, free 99." I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like, yeah, I could really use that right now, man. Because at that point in time, I had nowhere to go. Like I had friends, places that I could stay, but that's always limited, borrowed time type of thing. You feel me? And I'm the type of dude where I don't like to always, I don't, not even always. I don't want to be an inconvenience or impede in people's spaces. Like I totally get it. Um, so I got the car. I take care of the car the best I could. Um, and I found like a different side of me that was just hustling a certain way. Like around that time, online, when you're dropping music and you're being social, people think that everything's good. Like you must be winning in life because look at what you could produce. Look at your abilities and look at how many people know you. Like you clearly, you know, figured it out, right? And it's like whole time I'm struggling trying to keep up with payments, keep up with debts, like some type of stable ground. Like I started doing two jobs, three jobs, really trying to clock in my time of knowing that the car, it wasn't really in the best condition. So like the lifespan on it, you know, um, that plays into a factor as well. And I used to also work at a hotel. I used to work at the Country Inn. Worked at a lot of hotels actually in Ithaca, like over the years. But I would say to anybody that's homeless and isn't like some traveler to where you're just traveling that way. Like you've been in a town for a while or a city for a while. Like get jobs that allows you to get certain resources, toilet paper, mouthwash, washcloths, you know. A lot of those things I had and I could have bought, but I was able to, if I went to work early, I found ways to take a quick shower. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they would offer breakfast. That's free in the morning. The muffins or the espressos or whatever they got going on, the orange juice, whatever it is. Like I was on my like RPG like story mode, like scavenger hunt, salvage, everything you can find type thing. And I would shop at certain places like, they got like a recycle or a reuse center out here. You can get a couple of nice things, like for the real cheap, like real cheap. But it's just intricate to see what just, is kind of like discarded now. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say, what I've learned from being isolated to a degree, you know, not really getting good sleep like that because it's like you got to sleep with one eye open. I'm probably at a parking lot or, I'm probably in front of my job, sleeping at, the job in the parking lot somewhere. Finding places like to sleep, um, and just be low key, like, and it was tough because my car was so like, it was rusted out. I had duct tape on the side of that shit, trying to keep it together. I had no heat in that shit too. So that was crazy. I had the blankets and all that, gotta recline the seat back. That shit was home though. I'm not even gonna cap to you. Like I was doing a lot of deliveries like for Lunas, for Jacks, you know. Um yeah, even the thumbnail, I was sitting on a crate outside at that time where I took the photo of the Pathfinder. It's just I think about that car, you know what I'm saying? Like that was my first Autobot. You feel me? Like that was my first Autobot. That was my first Autobot. Like I had and the crazy part about it, right? Like it's like, there's people that they won't really they see a car like that and they be like, "Oh, if it's not up to date or modern, they probably wouldn't take it knowing that they needed a car." I needed a car. Like, if it's one thing I can tell anybody in the world out there is that I rather have a car than have a crib. I like having a crib, but I'm saying like if I had to do it the other way, like get the crib then get the car, I'd rather get the car. I'm always gonna get the car. The car is drive. The car I can get up and go anywhere. Anywhere the gas can take me. As much gas as I got. You know what I'm saying? That's what the car can do. When you have the crib, you're more stationary, which is cool, but you're more now confined into the contract of renting, right? And then having all the rent, first, last, security, and for some areas. So it's like the way how I saw it, I could DoorDash, Instacart, Luna's, Jack's. Back also when I used to work at Telluride up in Cornell, I used to, it's crazy. Like the jobs I had to stay consistently busy And then I still was able to feed the streets and the internet my soul on wax when it comes to this music. Like, to show up at shows in your work clothes, fatigued, stressed out, cash low, but you got a crooked smile, and you know what I mean? You still got a little bit left in the tank to just, drop some bars at a cipher, or, go to the studio right after that. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, like, you're probably like, well, see, bruv, that's the problem. Like, you know, it's true. I had spending habits when it came to the things that fueled me to keep going. And so it was like, to me, the energy kind of recycled itself. Like, of course I could have saved all of that money from buying or leasing beats, or always buying artwork. I was hopping in tournaments that costed me more money than the prize money could ever give me. You feel me? Like, we did that shit for the love of the game, evolution, putting out product, capturing a moment in time of who I was then, and letting the numbers increase over time, which they are. My SoundCloud, shout outs to my SoundCloud, man. Like, I love everybody over there. You know what I mean? Especially big thanks to Repost Exchange for getting the marketing out there. It's been an amazing run. Um, so yeah, like, I definitely blew a lot of money intentionally on the gizmos and gadgets, the promos, all that you can think about. Being present online, I would do skips. I would deactivate some of my social medias, because, not because, oh, life's not perfect, so now I can't post, but because, I got to a space where it was like, respectfully, like, I don't care what the world got going on right now. I don't care what y'all talking about right now. I don't. Like, I care when I step in the chat, and I put my opinion out there, and then we clash it up, or we figure out how to piece and move forward, with the new science. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm there for that when I'm there. You know what I'm saying? If when I'm not, it's like I made so much of that over the years that I'm still there anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that's also a nice attribute to have, because you could put out some heat, and it's some memorable heat that you just linger. And if I be feeling like it be giving me, like, just enough time to kind of not only cook up the next batch, but really just kind of piece my life together, because trying to do all of that at once, it can be tough to balance. I tell a lot of the youngins in the I was gonna call them OGs of the game, because they getting up there, but I damn near tell everybody, I'm just trying to figure out how to balance it. You know what I'm saying? Or, yo, balance, keep the balance. There's times where I wig out, yo. I got a story where like, I was gonna stop by my friend's place to chill, and I got in the driveway, and I don't know what possessed me to, like, stay in the driveway for a second, because by that point I would have got out the car, walked down the little steps, knock on the door, and then I would have been in the crib, right? But I just stayed in the car, and I was just thinking about some shit. Like, a lot of shit was going on around that time period. You feel me? And I kid you not, like, it had to have been some college students from IC, Ithaca College, possibly Cornell, who knows? But at that time, like, we had the Lime bikes, and so I don't know if we still have them, but back then when they came out, they were prevalent. They even had the e-bikes of that too. Um, but yeah, like, it was a group of kids. Can't even say kids, like college students or whatever. It was like 4 or 5 white dudes, one tall black dude, and one of the white dudes, he wanted to take a piss. So I'm behind a car in the driveway. You feel me? I'm behind a car in the driveway. He's in front of the car that's ahead of me, and he's doing this thing, whatever, and then the other group is telling the tall black dude, to throw the line bike at the car. You feel me? And you know what I'm saying? Like, he actually was about to follow through with that shit, yo. And instinctually knowing that that's my crib, like the car, I got my shit, like my life is in that car, and I got things in the storage unit. And so, periodically at night, if I needed something, switch of clothes or whatever, like I would go to the unit and then swap out. Sometimes I'd even just chill in my unit with the car right there and just relax, like, because I do be overworking myself. Or around that time, I'm probably so lax smoking something that, I'm probably barring it up in there. So even I use my storage unit as a way to pass the time, to kind of just look at some memories and reflect on some shit, but then to also kind of customize like what I need and what I don't. You feel me? I sold a lot of shit from like the L couch. I'm out here selling shit, for the cheap. I had an ottoman that went with that. When you're down to the wire like that, like I'm saying before, you got to be resourceful. You feel me? So, needless to say, as I time skip back to that moment where old boy was going to throw the line bike at my whip, I'm not even going to cap for the internet. Like, I immediately got out my car with a hammer, not a gun, an actual tool, which I guess they're both tools, but the shit you nail something with, or, hammer down, you feel me? I pulled up with that shit and I just looked him in the eye and I'm like, yo, make your next move or whatever I said, to that degree. Again, I'm not capping for the camera for views. This is real life. This is real life. And in that moment, and trust me, like the conviction I had, like the post, the stance, this is a tall guy, but it's 5 of them and it's just me and my mans that's unaware in his crib down the steps. So, I mean, even though the street, I'm by a bridge, I'm actually by the Marriott. So it's actually a public street, because that's just connected to the Commons and I think that was probably like a Friday. So Fridays and Saturdays, I live in a college town, so it's definitely lit. That's why they was walking in a pack like that. And you feel me? Like, I just saw the fear in his eyes. Like, oh, my bad, boss. I'm sorry, boss. I didn't mean it, boss. Like, everything was proper. And like, oh, you got it, OG, this and that and the third. And, the dude that was pissing in front of the other car, he over here trying to collect himself. Then they're probably pissed on himself, because they all ended up just walking up the hill, like facing me on some just walking backwards up the hill type shit. You know what I'm saying? But it puts in perspective, though, that, these students that come from money that can look at, someone's property, and being that it was rusty and the bumper was fucked up, I got into a couple of accidents in that car too. You know what I mean? Like, but the wheels was sick though. The rims was sick though. Like I try to give it some treatment like how I would roll around in something nice. You know what I mean? Like I try to do my best with that. But bottom line, I couldn't afford my car to be broken into like that, or a bashed window, and then I gotta think about money to get that repaired on an old car that really could have probably went to like fixing the car further. It even had like a ghost part, like where I was like calling damn near everywhere. Rock Auto, AutoZone. I went to Hunt's for that shit. Mavis looked up the part. Like nobody was really even Auto International. You know what I'm saying? And like that's what I'm saying about being resourceful is like, a lot of stores and places you think you wouldn't go to because of what you don't really need at that moment. Like I ended up learning as I go type of thing, about these places, people to call, inquire for certain things. You know what I'm saying? And it's just all a part of adulthood. You feel me? And so, you know, it was crazy that that moment happened in my life, but I'm just displaying to you guys what it's like to protect, you know, your home or your assets, right? Um yeah, man. I made a lot of strong plays with that car. Absolutely. I feel like the Pathfinder, I was able to find my path for sure. It was such a pivotal point in my life, like metaphorically having the drive to just keep going. You know what I'm saying? And of course, as I think weather got crazy, I was able to rely on a few friends. Shout outs to them. They know who they are. You know what I'm saying? To buy some time, get my shit together, get my money up, you know, and and that's the thing, right? It's like, again, like I said, a lot of the bread that I was spending on music, if I had just kept that and just went into something, who knows where I would be right now, because the money is damn near in your footsteps, to where, it's like you make a decision, whether it's getting a new job at a certain time, meeting new people at a certain time. Like, if I was to not drop what I did at the time that I did it, then I would have had that money to probably do something else with it, hopefully. But knowing me, not even saying hopefully, knowing me, it would have to go into the next play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't really just blowing bread, just to blow it. But I did actively decide to spend money gambling on myself a lot, even when I was like down. And I had to say to myself too, like, you know, being on the futon on the ground, at your friend's place is chill, but that's not the view that I want to wake up in somebody else's. You know what I'm saying? I would like to do that at my place. I don't. I would sleep on my floor at my place because it's my place. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt like I got enough beats that I could work with. I got a good amount of marketing that's out there. Artwork wise, I could put that on a pause because we've made so much that I haven't even caught up to put out. I made calculated decisions to say, okay, I got back one of my old jobs that I used to have back in the day, because I used to work at a nursing home. That was called Kendall, and I used to also work at Longview. And yeah, man, I got my bread up. You know, I got my bread up, and then I found like an apartment. Um, I only had like one neighbor. You know what I'm saying? I only had like one neighbor, and shit, that place was nice. It felt like I had a studio apartment before. I had a 2 bedroom joint before. I've had a good experience on living, in a spot in the headquarters. Like, I wasn't just always homeless and out. Like, it was very particular when I got into that pocket, right? And yeah, like, it was strange because I felt like, okay, I got the crib, I got the car, but the car is dying. I got the job, but I need the car to get to the job. especially where I live, even though it's not far with the car, without the car, I'm not walking that far. You know what I'm saying? And trust me, I used to walk, I used to bus, I used to bike to work, again, like I hustle. So to all the OGs that's like, oh, see, back in my day, just relax, chill. You feel me? Like I did all of that. I'm 33. Did all of that, and it was something about when you have a car, you're damn near like bougie. Like you don't want to use your feet ever to walk on land, for regular things. Like if I'm going to the corner store, the gas station, or I'm hopping in the car. You know what I mean? I think I kind of put those walking days behind me, especially and look, I'm not above it. Like sometimes if my car acts up, the starter goes bad, or there's something going on, or where I need to like tune it up just for it to be back on the road again. Like I would definitely Uber, or I've walked from my job to my crib before. You know what I'm saying? So it's in me to walk. And I'd make it a thing. I'd probably blog, or take pictures on the way. There's nice scenic routes out here in Ithaca. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like walking is just like so beneath me, but it's just that when you have a car, it's like, yo, like, where we going? You feel me? And so the Pathfinder, like at some point I ended up scrapping the car, to get a couple of dollars to contribute. Um, I believe it was towards a new car, um, or probably not. I don't know. I don't know I can't even really remember what I scrapped it for per se. But I do know that it was beyond repair when I took it to get repaired. And so that's what motivated me to, you know, scrap it. You got to think from my position, I didn't really have a place to store the car. I already had another car that was already sitting where it was sitting at the time, but you know, that type of car is such a seasonal car. You can't just drive it in the winter. It's not conducive. It's not smart. And not only that, with that car, it's more like a prop car. Like it's like a science experiment, like you know, kids when they would like have the Mustang like on their wall, or it was like one of those cars to me. You know what I mean? It's like a project car, so I'm working on it. Whenever I get to that, I get to that. And, people might think it's a flex, but it's like, it has a lot of memories to it. It has a lot of, just, it's a potent car. And that car, the Triumph that I'm talking about, that also motivated mad lines in my music. That motivated an arc in my music. So it's actually like a centerpiece to what I have made. And it haunts me to this day, kind of, that the one dude, uh when we took it out to the gas station one time, one dude that saw it, he was like, what you want for the car? I was like, oh, nah, it's not for sale. He was like, oh, no, everything has a price. You know what I'm saying? Some shit like that. I mean, now that I think about it, that man looked like a pirate. Goddamn, hit me with the one eye and the wooden leg. Like, you feel me? Like, how much? That's like, bruv, yo. But he is right, though. Yesterday's price is also not today's price, but he's absolutely right about a price. The question is, are you willing to continue to pay for that price? It's crazy. But you know, my mom, I think she had got a lead on a friend of hers that was like letting go of one of his cars, and that one was, I think, a Mitsubishi Montero. It was like a green joint. I forgot what year it was, but it was kind of similar to the Pathfinder, and that was cool too. I went out there to go pick it up. You know, I was getting real excited about that car, and as I was driving back, like mad lights came on. It was so crazy. Mad lights came on. I was smelling a fume. I probably drove it like a few times in Ithaca to get to work or whatever. And it just, I don't think it was drivable. So I had to park that one somewhere and, you know, kind of network like who would be into fixing the car. Cause I need a car that I could run and make some money. I don't have money to fix the car that got big issues. You know what I'm saying? So I actually, you know, found somebody to, you know, do the deal with me on that, you know, gave me a couple of hundred, you know, and I just was adding up the money. I had a Beamer as well. That was, I think, a '07, I think, or a '06. But I had a Beam, and y'all know foreign cars, even though they're all foreign, to be honest, but y'all know high-end cars like the BMW, even though it was an older model, you need a BMW specialist to work on a BMW, and that costs money. You know, I was getting everything that I'm telling you. I got the math and the science and the calculations of how all of this shit breaks down. You know, I go to these car places. I talk to friends that are into cars. Like, you know, there's some parts I was able to get off the net, but then I would have to talk to them to install it type shit and watch how they install it. You know what I'm saying? So it's all coming at you guys with, you know, facts attached with context and, you know, story time. Yeah, and you know, I sold the Beamer too. Or not sold it. I scrapped that shit. Scrapped that shit for a few more hundred. You feel me? And you know, I'm working. You know, around that time, you know, saved up just enough. I think I went out to PA, was it? I think it was probably PA. My friend Odd, you know, he took me up there. And thank God he did, because as I was looking at the cars on the lot, I already had my mind on the Honda Civic, which I think, damn, I can't even remember the year. What's out there? Is that an '06 or an '07? It's one of the two. But it's a blue one. And I was like, okay, even though it's not a truck to where I could hold mad shit and I'm above the road a little bit, I kind of got used to that. I was like, yo, like if I get the Honda though, I'll be straight. You know what I'm saying? Cause like I already know the Honda can take a it can take a hit. You know what I'm saying? Like it can definitely, the parts are interchangeable with Toyota to a degree. And they're affordable. So they're cost effective. You know what I'm saying? I could pay for that. The maintenance of that. It's about maintenance. You know, like these decisions that I'm talking as an adult, like knowing where the money goes is very important. It's very important. You know, because you gotta say to yourself, like, who's gonna really come by and save you or give you a helping hand? Like, you don't know where other people are in their lives to like even afford something like that. And they could be your close people, like your day ones, but like, you know what I'm saying? You know, everybody got their own life and how they want to live it and have it play out, you know, and um even though they love you and mean well for you, you know, who they are and their priorities does matter. So it's one of those things where I can't lean on my parents. I can't. You know, like when Mom Dukes came with the idea of the Montero, when I was telling her my situation, like that was an alley oop. But you know, I had to pay for that alley oop. You know what I'm saying? It costed me. It bought me a couple of days, but it costed me. But I was able to still flip it. You see what I'm saying? Instead of shit just being dead in the water and you not knowing where to place it. You know what I'm saying? It could be good for somebody else. It's just not for me. But what I need is them Benjis. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and even while I'm getting the bread like this, I'm still going to the studio. You feel me? It's like when I think about it, like that's gambling OD. I'm not gonna lie to you. It, you know, because I feel like a lot of people now, like, you know, like you'll have artists that like have in-house beat makers that'll probably give them a beat pack, you know, and they work out a deal. Maybe they just go 50-50 on the pub or whatever it is, right? You know, so they don't have to spend money to just rap. They could just rap. They could just spend money to record it, or maybe they know how to record themselves, so where they're Gucci, or maybe they know how to make beats themselves, so where they're Gucci. I still want to be able to do those things as well, so that way I could be even more self sufficient. But for me, you know, like I said, like when I make music, I kind of document my life in it and the time period and things going on. So it was like when events are happening and they're key events, I'm risking it all and spending my last at times. You know, when I got the Honda, that was an eventful day. You know, my lady lost her brother, and the car, the starter or something was bad. Even though I took it to the dealership when I took it off the lot, I went with the guy that I was buying it from. They inspected it and everything allegedly came out fine. But then when I hit the highway, all types of lights was going on to where it felt like, you know what I mean? I couldn't even control my car, so I had to like dramatically pull over to the right. And odd, he had to keep jumping my car the whole way back to Ithaca. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said thankful for him, because it's like, damn, like imagine asking somebody for help all the way back to Ithaca on the road. Like, how many strangers do you got to meet just to make it back home? You know what I'm saying? But ever since I got that car, though, man, like, you know, I stayed a couple nights in that, couple nights at the hotel. You know, I'm zipping by. I'm, you know, making moves back and forth to the storage unit. You know, like I feel like, you know, kind of refreshed. It's still a oldie, you know, but I'm like, whew, like I synchro summoned just now. You know what I'm saying? Like I done combined it, this car, with that scrap, with a couple of dollars I made from the gym, or you know, the jobs, couple of dollars I made off the music, selling the merch, combined all of that together, get the whip, you know, drop a song, drop an artwork, drop, you know what I mean? Like, I look at the life that I live in combos, man. You know, like I just made the Yu-Gi-Oh vid breaking down that concept of synchro summoning and like having your cards, you know, work for you in a way where it synchronizes and everything is in harmony. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like even like to a lot of people, you know, on the outside looking in, you're probably like, damn, like he had poor money management because he wanted to be a rapper. Don't follow him. And you're right. You guys don't follow me. I made my own decisions in life. That's what makes me a man. That's what makes me an adult. That's what makes me accountable, by telling you what I was doing with the bread and also still telling you how I got shit done. and how it still can be done. Nowhere in what I told you guys sounded defeated. I stopped trying. I didn't evolve. I didn't learn, or I wasn't tested. I'm giving you just the game of being outside of your home. Because once you're outside, you're subjected to everything that's outside. Noise, people fighting, shooting, all sorts of things. Traffic, snow, cars in ditches, people spinning out. When I was in the Pathfinder on Green Street, it was black ice, like a whole sheet of it by the library. And, thankfully there wasn't that much traffic, but did a whole 360 in that car. Never did one of those in my life ever. You know what I'm saying? Did a whole 360 in that car, didn't hit the other car on my right, and still was on a straight path, going, past the light, with Cinemapolis and Urban Outfitters. You know what I'm saying? So, I had wild adventures in the Pathfinder. I remember I went to the city to pick up my bro to record 2 songs. I think it was Hot Skull and 222. And then I dropped him back off. And then I drove back. And that drive back, I think I was like 30 minutes away from the town. And, this is when the Pathfinder had the decked out rims and tires to go with it. And, yeah, I nodded off. I nodded off on the wheel. I should have just rested. I was already blitzed out, tired out, maxed out. You know what I'm saying? And I nodded off. And then I hit the fucking guardrail. And that shit, the impact of that, it blew off both my right rear tire and front right tire. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy. It blew off, and I'm driving on the the motherfucking blew off tire. The at this point, you know what I'm saying? Shit's crazy. But the reason why I'm driving it a little bit is to kind of get out the road. You know what I mean? Because it's still a main road. So I just, as tough as it was to drive on the rim, basically, I had to do that shit. Call up the tow man. You feel me? Get that shit. And I guess it's a thing where people feel like when they're closer to home, that's when the most accidents happen, because you feel more relaxed. And I think that's probably just what happened. Plus, I was really tired. Please don't, y'all think drinking and driving is bad. When that shit happens, when you just nod out, it's just it's damn near you lose consciousness, and just it's like your soul or your mind is not even in your body anymore. It's that's how tired I was. I was just out of it, just out of it, did the whole, you know what I'm saying? Just I had no, I was motionless at that point. You know what I mean? So. But yeah, man, that shit happened. A lot of events happened with that car. A lot of memories. I got pulled over in that car, arrested by that car. Those are fragmented stories that they're a part of my character development. They're a part of my character development, but I'm going to just the necessity that you need to have when it comes to focus and goals and things that are mapped out, things that if it came to your radar and you wanted certain things, I think I saw that Honda probably on Facebook Marketplace or wherever I was looking on for cars, so it was it could have been anything, that was just cost effective. If it was a nice Toyota that was around that year and model, whatever, so that's what I'm saying. It's I wasn't really focused on it gotta be the flashy car, because then you're gonna spend more money. You might go to the dealership and think, it's nice that you could turn it in and get another upgraded model, but then it keeps you within the contract. I bought out the Honda. That shit is mine. meaning the problems are also mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm buying everything that come with that car. You know what I'm saying? And I think for a lot of folk out there, they opt into the dealership route, which I ain't mad at it if you could, keep up with it and all the interest rates and that, all of that jazz. But to keep it a stack, when I buy something, like, I already mapped out the timeline of how I'm gonna use it, when I'm gonna use it, or what I'm gonna use it for, how long I'm gonna have it for. Like, I already mapped it out. You know what I'm saying? So, and the miles is getting up there. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of these things is calculation, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these things is calculation. The Pathfinder, the brakes was so bad one time, or actually, if for a good amount of the time, really, I was driving unsafe too. Like, talking about risking it. Like, I would always have to brake early. That was one of the problems. I would always, not because the brakes were bad, why couldn't you fix the brakes? This is what I was saying about the ghost part. It was something that they just don't have anymore, that they built with that car. And as I was searching for it everywhere, it was just really hard to find. You know what I'm saying? Like, you damn near would have to get like the same model from somewhere and see if they have that part available. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's like, yo, like the uphill, downhill, doing deliveries through COVID, even, being questioned by police, like, yo, like, because around that time it was a curfew. You couldn't be out there in the street unless you was working. Like, I was still at work. It's just sometimes, like, when you waiting for the food, I'm in the whip, probably making a song, editing something, or just probably chilling, watching some shit. Not even gonna lie to you, like, you know what I'm saying. Not everything was all music, but you know what I'm saying. I would wait, have the bandana on, go in there, get the food, and make my runs, man. And like, like, shit is just crazy, yo. I like, yo, and I really think about it, bro. Like, man, yo, like, when I really think about those times to where I'm at right now, it's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy because it taught me a lot. It definitely did. People, would probably cut jokes on the fact that it was a rust bucket or whatever, but you know what? You know, I ain't even gonna say what I want to say. Like, some good times happened in that whip. You feel me? And at the end of the day, it's the man that made the car, not the car that made the man. You feel me? So, um, to everybody living in their whips, I see everybody on their YouTube channels now, making it a lifestyle and making it work for them. Salute. To people that, fell on hard times and it's not really how they're trying to live, but they're in that situation for right now. Don't give up, because, tooth and nail, you can claw your way out of it and be able to get on stable ground, stable footing. But I ain't gonna lie to you, you gotta work your ass off. Like, I see, for me, I'm in a position, I don't have kids. You know what I'm saying? There's people that got kids, and honestly, your best investment is a van at that point. You know what I'm saying? To hold more, and bring the seats down, bring a little air mattress in there or something. There's ways to go about it. You know, there's ways to go about it. Yeah, and I think for me, being that I have stability, um, I like having home is priceless. Having a home is priceless. You know what I mean? I got cars outside. You know, I have that mean multiple means I have to fix them if they all get sick and go bad. You know what I'm saying? That's it's money, but it what they say, to whom much is given, much is tested, or some shit like that. I just feel like things that come in abundance. It still it means I could hold it and take care of it, but that's exactly what I gotta do. I gotta take care of it. So you know, don't forget that. Take care of yourself. Treat yourself kind when you're going through this, because it could have been very easy for me to just not pursue my dreams, or my business rather. You know what I'm saying? I gotta state that because you know it probably used to be the dream to be signed and famous and all of that, but it's not really what I'm in it for, especially as I aged alongside with my art and my creative choices and outputs and stuff like that. Like where I'm able to see myself now, I'm just kind of past certain things. I think I probably just aged out of certain belief systems and certain hypes. Like now I'm more so focused on, earning power and, you know, uh, just fortifying myself and my position in life to acquire even more. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to take time, like this is a new level. You know what I'm saying? We're all at different stages of our life. You feel me? I didn't really think that I would access this level where I was at all, you know, but with the right people that I knew, with the timing of, you know, certain places being available, and you know what I'm saying, certain jobs open up at the right time, or somebody I met needs assistance at the right time, like that's what I'm paying attention to, is my timing on things, knowing when to interact, when to engage in something, when to call a play, and it be, critical to everything we got going on, or just because you got the time to make for that type of play. You know what I'm saying? A lot of this too is scheduling your time instead of like idling it and doing nothing. I can't complain, you know, being at the crazy bottom of where I was at, because it's my fault that I was there. I put myself there. Certain situations that happened in my life that panned out, there's a risk to it all. I could have everything that I have right now, and then something goes crazy, and then I'm probably right back to zero again. But you know what? I've been at zero so many motherfucking times that it doesn't matter, because I know what to do. And I'm gonna just believe in myself again. And I actually never stopped believing in it, so I can't really say again. But I'm gonna just keep continuing to do that, and it's gonna work out for me. I believe in that. I believe in that. Whether I have the same connections as I did back then or not, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. You gotta tell yourself when you wake up, brush your teeth, and make your breakfast or whatever, you're gonna win today. You're gonna find your win. You're gonna see where you can win. If you got enough to eat, if you got enough quarters for the laundromat, like when I find money, whether it's on the floor, in a room for the tip, or, however it go, if people want to do something nice for me, I accept. I accept the gifts. I collect mad shit. You never know when you're going to need it. Flip it, spend it, hold it. You just never know. I stay prepared. You got to stay prepared. when you're living that way, and when you're just living life in general. You know, we got bug out backpacks and shit. I got armored things for the car and shit. Like, it's it's a certain mind state that I'm in when it, like, for me, like when you're homeless, it's like The Walking Dead. You know, like you're outside with the everyday folk that you might see way more frequent than if you wasn't outside. You know what I mean? Just because you're observing things and your environment around you, you know, and you're interacting with people. You know what I mean? And based off that could determine how your day plays out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, man, I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and it's kind of interesting with 2026, you know, because it's been quite some time from where I was at that moment in time. You know, I remember when the stimulus checks came out. I had copped Mula McQueen and You Say Go, two of my favorite top elite songs. You know, I wrote them around the same time, around that time, and I was just like, ooh, once that check hit, woo, like I'm a cop the beats. It's over. You know, and see, that's me believing in myself at that time. You know, not even asking for a return on investment, just how the music made me feel and how I resonated and how the idea, like, it just came to mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, to just do it right then, and the future me is on some you'll thank me later, but you got to do this right now. That's what I did. I listened to that voice, and from that point on in the future, I went into a couple of tournaments, competitions, and got different reactions from people. It became certain people's favorites along the years that went by. That, you know, and it's like, if I didn't take that opportunity to find that shit, create it, you know, big ups to Forgotten, D Brown, Ainge, you know, the guys that is heavily into my craft and my process. You know, like if I didn't walk that way, I wouldn't reap the benefits of what the fruit had to bear, you know, that it did for me later on in life. Like, classic bona fide songs, you know. And for me, like, they're chill songs. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's just fire, but, you know, check this out. You know what I'm saying? Like, they all my babies. Like, they all, you know what I mean? This is all extensions of me. So it's like, it's kind of hard to, you know, because I need them all. You know, not everything gonna be the crazy anthem. You know, sometimes I want to talk to you guys. Sometimes I want to be poetic. Sometimes I want to be theatrical. Sometimes I want to be extra. Sometimes I want to be in my Caribbean roots bag. Like, I have multiple bags. Sometimes I want to be a superhero, like anime villain. Like, you know, like I do whatever I want with this shit. I do whatever I want, you know, and that's why, like, even me talking, you know, got the hat on, the fit on, like the mic right here. I'm in my headquarters and I'm tired. But I felt like I gotta share this story because, you know, it's like I said, like, it gets better. It gets better, you know, like, you know, I'm happy. You know, I really am. Like, I'm happy to you know, meet somebody also along the way that is on the same type of timing and program. And you feel me? Like, we went through a lot of trial runs when it comes to, like, just, you know, the financial piece of things, you know, jobs being a certain way, or having to up and leave and then feel like, damn, like, it's just not really my vibe. Like, you know what I mean? But we always held each other down and lifted each other up, you know, to kind of just maintain what we have. You know, we got 3 dogs. I got 3 dogs. Like, I gotta make sure they eat, go to the bathroom, have a nice warm place to stay, covers and sheets in their little cage area, which is in a nice little hutch and a desk now. You got dog cages that are built into things. So, it's not just some one off steel cage. It's like it's in a whole elegant display, and that's for them. That's for them, like we gotta take care of them, man. Like, they say, when you have dogs, it's like the precursor to having kids, and I think that's true, but like, you know, you know what I'm saying? To have a kid, like, that's a whole other level. That's a whole other level, like, and it's crazy because, my parents weren't really too much in my life like that. So, a lot of the fear at times that I could admit would be I'm trying to set up shop so that way when they arrive, we not in a transitional, oh, we gotta go here, we gotta go there. And it might end up happening like that anyway if a new job occurs or if somewhere better to live is up for grabs. Like, who knows? But all in all, I feel way more confident at this point of the game to have something like that happen in life than where I was at, with notching. You know what I'm saying? So, that's how I see it. Salute to everybody that was a part of my journey. Um, I learned a lot. Um, had a lot of laughs. Had a lot of real moments. Um, and yeah, I pick certain things in my life to identify with the topic to kind of illustrate and paint to you guys that it is a challenge and a risk to hold on to your dreams and stuff or your ambitions or your business. Um, but you don't have to always give up that piece of you, to maintain everything else. Like I've learned that I could create a lot, put it out, and then get into a fallback mode where it's like I could let that live while I do some living of my own. And look, to people that are fans that feel like, yo, you've been gone for too long, you a unk now, these youngins is dropping a song a day or a week or a month. I did all of that, homie. I pioneered a lot of that shit. I was a part of the wave of that when they scrutinized that and said, why are you doing that? And then they all implemented doing that, and then they run with, oh, yo, like, I'm one of you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's fine, because honestly, the more the better. This product, like, cook up. You know what I'm saying? Because when you create a digital resume of content and your footprint is something to look at and really be like, wow, like, this guy really did a lot for himself. Like, it just adds to the lore and the prestige of who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all got the same 24. It's just we don't use it the same. You know what I'm saying? So if you could figure out how to maximize your efforts, without overtaxing, yourself in thinking that you're not good enough, or yourself in just doing all the workload, pace it out. It don't have to be the whole damn clip. You know what I mean? If you want to do it like that, charge up then. Build it. And then drop that bitch. You feel me? But other than that, it ain't nobody out here to be rushing for like that. Don't get me wrong. Okay? The battle with Drake and Kendrick, I don't want to say I rushed to it, because I was prepared for it, because I knew it was going to happen. And throughout the years, that's why I couldn't miss a step either. Like I kept stepping and hinting, and it just got unavoidable. After a while, the day they drop, I be dropping, and it's like I don't know they drop because it's a surprise drop, but I drop, so everything is in alignment. It got to a point where it was like, all right, all right, because this music is spiritual. Like, I know everybody, not everybody, but for those that know, if you know, then you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's a wavelength thing, and certain things do call you for action. They definitely do it. Like, I feel like when you get the spidey sense that you got to do something like right now, that's when you listen to it. If you miss that window, that's on you. I really don't know what to tell you. That's on you. That's on you, Playboy. If you miss that window, that moment of clarity, there's someone else out there that caught the radio signal, the wavelength, sayings. It's like we can sense the power level. You know what I mean? It's like, oh shit, like someone just, turned up out there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, like we did something about it. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, it depends if you complete the mission or not. We completed the mission. So at this point, it's like if that feeling was to happen again, that means I got some more work to do, and I always have work to do. You know what I mean? Because I keep myself busy. Even at times, if I don't, cook up an episode for you guys like today, with this topic and concept, I'm probably already cooking the thumbnail and cooking up what I want to lay out for the captions and stuff. Like I'm doing all the other things, to keep it a stack too. A lot of the things that we're doing as creatives, people have teams for this shit. I'm spending hours of my time, depending on Wi-Fi at my job or where I live, to render videos from one program to the other. And that shit takes time. That shit definitely takes time to package it, put it out nice and neat, and have the little bells and whistles to go with it. And you got to test everything that you think can edit it. Sometimes it's like just give it a simple video because you don't want to do all the editing. But I try to make each experience just somewhat different, with a variant, with a change. So I hope you guys like the quality of, what's already been out there. Because we put up like a good 20 plus videos, plus the 5 back in December. So, it's a good amount of work on my channel. Definitely check out the rest of the videos. I just had to make an episode about the Pathfinder and where I was at a point in time in my life, because I'm not ashamed of it. I already rapped about it, made music about it. I talk about the heartbreaks and the ups, the downs, the wins, the losses. I already rapped about all of that. But with this, you're not getting auto tune. You're getting it straight. As is, raw. Like in the crib, chilling, talking. Like everything is embraced at this point. Everything is used to help me propel and excel. And there's nothing bitter on this side. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing that wishes anything negative to anybody, from what we went through. I think we were all in a transitional time period, and people had to make choices. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know what I mean? Like, that's life. You feel me? and I'm excited to see what the rest of the year has to offer. You know, the J. Cole album came out. You know, proud of him. Congrats to him. Um, Iceman, you feel me? Iceman. Central C just dropped a freestyle called Iceman, and the visuals to that is cold as fuck. Shout outs to Sench. You feel me? And I take it that since he's using the Iceman name, he's probably trying to alley oop Drake. At least that's what it sound like in the raps. Yeah, man. Make this shit interesting. This is your life. How you want to write it, start the story, end it. I believe that's up to you. Don't think just because you're at the bottom, you're at zero, that you can't get all that shit back and then some. You know what I mean? You absolutely can. You know, like I said, try to be kind to yourself, of course, to others. Have conversations. You never know who could help you with some things that you probably could use. Whether it's a TV stand or a chair. Or I collected a lot of things from my friends that might have been throwing things away or whatever. Like, and at times I be feeling like I don't have enough space to hold it all, but I somehow find it, a unique way of, using it. And I guess what I'm saying is like pay attention to what's valuable to you. If that's your time, figure out ways to protect it or not be frivolous with it. If it's your money, same thing, concept, whatever. If it's your family or if it's your business, your work, if you know you've been spending a lot on your dreams and aspirations, your marketing, your business, whatever, but you know that, the check engine light came on and, you kind of need that car to go to work to make the money that you need to continue enjoying what you love doing. Take care of the car. Like, ASAP. You know what I'm saying? As fast as you can. Take care of the car. Don't practice letting the problems stack and stockpile on top of each other. Because then it's gonna be a larger bill. And it's easy to say and hard to do, but that's what we gotta do. That's what we gotta do. It can't just be smooth sailing with no resistance. They gotta throw you a curveball. Karma threw me one hell of a curveball yesterday. That's for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think I passed the test later on, but I failed at the same time. To be honest, I let my anger get the best of me. You know, and that's something I'm working on. You feel me? That's definitely because I understand that when you're angry, you attract like just wacko weirdo situations to you. Like it be random. It could be traffic. It could be people at your job. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you're just a magnet for just more stressed out shit. And so it's like when shit just stresses you out, it's like to remain calm. And I guess I'm at the point where nothing has to be said anymore. It's like, all right, you got it. Like I can't be fighting every battle. And I think I'm learning that as I age. Like I'm pretty sure by the time I hit 40, like I don't want to have an inkling feeling of talking about anything that is remotely getting me to a boiling point. I just can't afford it. Like can't afford it at all. So even if I had money, I just can't afford it. You know what I mean? Because it's energy misused. You know what I'm saying? But I'm no saint. I never portrayed to be. I am what I am and who I am, what I am, all of the above. And, God is above and I'm the reflection of God. Then what I tell you? I am what I am. You know what I'm saying? My name is my name. Um, and yeah, man. Uh, that's my take on what it was like to live in my car. Like, share, subscribe. Check out all the other vids. You can find me on the socials, except for Facebook, at Blame Bent. You can find me on the streams at Blame Bent. If you guys got any other content concepts y'all want me to tackle or talk about, that's cool. I'm gonna keep creating the original content that I've been creating, and just bring that to the forefront for you guys. You know what I'm saying? So I hope this video finds somebody well. It is a lengthy video. I'm gonna have to probably clip it up and stuff to make it like bite-sized information for you guys. But shit, man, I love y'all. Be safe. And until next time, peace.
Clear mind, yeah. Time flies, yeah. Woke up, you was gone, yeah. Guess it wasn't meant to be, should've known, yeah.